I really need to get some sleep. Tomorrow is the big day where I start my Kubernetes cluster testing. I sure hope everything goes according to plan.
Alright, let's start testing this Kubernetes cluster out.
Justin.
Who is that?
Over here. Yes, here. It's me, Mr. Cloud.
Mr. Cloud? I didn't know you could talk.
I usually can't, but I came to life to bring you a dire warning.
A warning? What do you mean a warning?
Kubernetes. It's a lie.
What?
Kubernetes is a lie. It's a dying technology. It's too hard to deploy and use. Remember OpenStack?
Yeah, I do, but this is nothing like OpenStack. There are plenty of service offerings out there to help simplify Kubernetes deployments.
That's what they want you to think. They rope you in, and when things start to get hairy, you're locked in. And good luck securing it.
Mr. Cloud, tell me it's all going to be okay. And how did I end up in this land of magical unicorns? Now I'm a little worried. Am I making the right choice? Is Kubernetes here to stay? Am I wasting my time deploying this? At least it was just a dream.
Enrico, thanks so much for joining me here. I had the weirdest dream last night. I was with the talking cloud and a lot of other things I don't want to get into. But the gist is that Kubernetes is a dying technology, and I wanted to get your insights on it before I start deploying this because I don't want to waste my time on something that isn't going to last. What do you think? And do you see Kubernetes going the way of other technologies that might have had these problems?
Well, actually, it's quite the contrary. I mean, the community is growing. Number of deployments are soaring. I think that Kubernetes is everywhere now. And we are talking with a lot of our clients, Kubernetes at the edge, Kubernetes part of the infrastructure, integral part of the infrastructure. Some vendors are using Kubernetes as a fundamental layer of their infrastructure, even if the user doesn't see it in production. I mean, they don't see Kubernetes. The vendors is using Kubernetes in the backend. So you buy an appliance, but internally there is Kubernetes. So everybody's using Kubernetes from the data center to the cloud and even at the edge.
What are some of the major challenges that you hear Kubernetes customers complaining about?
So if you start small and you keep it small, Kubernetes doesn't have any issue. But in the moment you start deploying it, at scale, there are both problems on the single cluster. So becoming bigger and bigger, there are a lot of moving parts, so you need more skills. And at the same time, managing a large set of cluster could become a huge problem because you want to move application, you need to understand a few small things that are necessary to move your application, your data. So there are several solutions now that are going in the direction of helping users to simplify not just the deployment, because this is the easy part, but the day-to management of a large Kubernetes infrastructure.
Yeah, I've noticed that Kubernetes itself has a lot of managed service offerings now. Some of the technologies that have come out before that have failed, that were complicated, really didn't have those managed services. And I think that's where the key differentiator here is there's going to be a way to deploy this without having to have an entire team to manage all the infrastructure.
Well, that's becoming easy. I mean, there are, let's say, multi-cluster management tools and managed services. So even if you are thinking at a multi-cloud deployment, now there are solutions that help you to manage, the differences between the control planes. So you don't see. So let's call it an abstraction layer that makes everything easier for the user, and you don't have to have a PhD to manage Kubernetes now. So you can deploy it, you can manage it, you can move your application around, you can move your data. Even NetApp has some great technologies to move data across different environments, the same platform available on different environments, so that you can move your data, you can use a familiar tool to do it. And on top of it, there are other tools that simplify the management at scale.
I've heard of NetApp. They're pretty cool. But you're responsible for making recommendations in the industry. What are some trends that you're seeing with Kubernetes, and what are some of the most popular ways to deploy it?
So for small companies, hosted Kubernetes is the best way. So we are thinking about, in this case, big cloud providers offering their managed Kubernetes service, because you remove a lot of the complexity that comes with it. Okay. In large enterprises, we are talking about hybrid scenarios. So you want, again, the flexibility of the public cloud, but actually for several reasons, regulations, security, policy sometimes, you want to keep also Kubernetes on your data center. So you have this complexity to manage. In these cases, there are multiple options. Sometimes you have offers from some vendors that allow you to have the similar Kubernetes or identical Kubernetes distribution across different environments. Or again, you have tools that help to manage native managed Kubernetes services on a single cloud. Plus, you can choose the Kubernetes distribution that you like the most on premises, but having these tools that, let's say, standardize operations.
Yeah, so I guess what you're saying is, if I'm using something like an AWS or an Azure, maybe I should consider their native Kubernetes management tools. But if I need to go on-prem, then I have a lot more options to choose from, but I may want to standardize across different deployments.
Yes, indeed. I mean, it really depends on several factors. Sometimes you have very large organization and with different departments, and projects start from a single department. IT is not even aware that is happening, and they choose their distribution or even their public cloud because it's in their budget and it's a small application. The application grows, IT has to take control of it at some point, and they need to have this ability to manage multiple Kubernetes instances in different scenarios. Consider also that sometimes you have big cloud providers that don't have a region in a specific country, and maybe for that specific country you want to deploy the application locally because data sovereignty rules and other things like that. So this complicates things again. So you want to have the possibility to manage multiple Kubernetes, and again, the tools are available today.
Where do you see Kubernetes going in the next 3 to 5 years? Put on your prediction ad here. Am I making a wise investment with my time?
I think yes. I mean, in general, the industry is all aligned with supporting Kubernetes, and I think in general we are seeing the adoption of Kubernetes growing in every sector. Simplification will be something that will happen over time with more third-party tools that will be on top of Kubernetes. The ecosystem is so huge now. Developers like and need these CI/CD models to work with. The only ways to do it today is with the microservices, and to manage microservices, you need containers, and containers need Kubernetes. Kubernetes is the platform that won the orchestration war, if it was a war. I mean, it won hands down against other orchestrators, and it's open source, which is not.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, you've really helped calm my nerves about this deployment. Hopefully, I'm going to have better dreams over the next few weeks. I'm so glad Enrico was able to calm me down, but now I have a new challenge. What Kubernetes engine do I pick? And which cloud? Hope I get some answers for that next time.